And welcome back. There's some really interesting dynamics happening right now in the US housing market. So for example, this has to do with existing home sales versus brand new home sales. So for example, existing home sales are actually going down, whereas new home sales are actually rebounding at the time of filming this video. So on the resale side, for existing houses, we have a lack of houses for sale, historically speaking, down by about 54% compared to pre-pandemic levels. On the other hand, though, for houses for sale that are brand new, it's actually just the opposite. We're seeing a glut of inventory, which is causing a shift amongst home buyers to buy brand new home construction versus resale houses. So this is based on a brand new report from the US Census Bureau that was just announced on the 23rd of May. So in today's video, I'm going to take a deep dive into what's happening right now with inventory levels and home sales for brand new houses in the US. And with that said, I have a lot to share. Let's go ahead and dive right in. This is based on a brand new report from the US Census Bureau that was just reported on Tuesday morning, the 23rd. This is for home sales for April. And by the way, a friendly reminder, a home sale for a brand new home sale is defined as a deposit taken or a sales agreement signed. And this can occur prior to a permit being issued. So a new home sale is when a contract is signed between a home buyer and a home builder and they take on a deposit. So this can occur when it's just a dirt lot, it's a house under construction, or it's a house completed and ready to be moved in. The reason why I mention this is that the US Census Bureau actually records this as a sale. So in other words, this is really acting more like a pending home sale than anything else. And because of that, this is really an early indication of home buying demand because this is based on contracts signed. So speaking of that, here's the number of houses that sold, in other words, a contract being signed this April. At 683,000, this is the seasonally adjusted annualized basis of home sales, 683,000. This is actually a little bit below what was forecasted. The forecast was 663,000. It came in about 20,000 more than that. On top of that, home sales increased by 4.1% compared to March and also increased by 11.8% compared to April of 2022. The biggest decrease was actually in the Northeast, falling by nearly 47%. However, it's a very small market there. However, in the West, it decreased by 2.8% and a big decrease of 9.1% month over month. This increase of 11.8% was led by this giant increase of 23.4% in the South. I mention this because the South at 443,000, that's approximately 65% of the total home sales nationwide at 683,000. So in other words, the trends we're seeing in the South is really impacting the national number because they have a ton of houses that sold compared to other major US regions. One thing I do want to mention is the year-to-date change because even though home sales increased by 4.1% compared to March, year-to-date, they're down nearly 10% nationwide. Now, having said that, here's a look at home sales nationwide over the past 12 months, according to the Census Bureau. So new home sales have increased for 6 out of the last 7 months. Additionally, when we zoom out over the past 5 years at 683,000, the analyzed basis, this is the highest number of home sales since March last year. One more thing I do want to mention is that the number of home sales this April is more or less on par with pre-pandemic levels. So for example, back in April of 2019, there was 695,000, just slightly above April 2023's levels of 683,000. Okay, let's change gears slightly here and talk about the number of single-family houses for sale. And by the way, I should have mentioned this report here is based on new single-family houses only. It excludes multifamily properties. So for the number of houses for sale, and by the way, this figure right here of 433,000 is seasonally adjusted, but it's not annualized. So 433,000 nationwide, a slight increase of 0.2% compared to last month, and more or less flat compared to 1 year ago. That's because 1 year ago, there was 434,000 new single-family houses for sale. Now, of course, there's only 433,000. So this is also an interesting dynamic occurring as well, because for the first half, or I should say the last half of 2022, inventory levels were skyrocketing through July 2022. However, though, ever since November last year, inventory levels have been on a downward trend. However, I would do you a disservice if I didn't provide you with some context regarding pre-pandemic levels, because at 433,000 new single-family houses technically for sale, when looking at pre-pandemic levels, this is the highest number going back to June of 2008, when at that time there was 435,000. So big picture here, even though inventory has been on a downward trend over the past several months, the current levels we have right now is still well above historical averages. A similar trend is also happening right now regarding the month supply of brand new houses right now as well, because the month supply right now is at 7.6 months, a decrease of 3.8% compared to March, but a decrease of 10.6% compared to April last year, when the month supply was 8.5 months. So even though this has been on a downward trend ever since approximately the summer months last year, look at this though, because going back to June 2008, you really can see how high this number is. At 7.6 months, again, this is the month supply of brand new houses. At 7.6 months, when looking at pre-pandemic levels, this is actually tied back in December 2018 at 7.6 months as well. Now, prior to that, we haven't seen a number that high going back to February of 2011, when the month supply was 8.1 months. Okay, let's change gears slightly here and talk about home prices, because this April, the median sold price nationwide was $420,800. 1 year ago, it was $458,200. Therefore, by my dumb math, that's a decrease of 8% year over year. When you compare that to the resale market, based on the most recent data we have from the National Association of Realtors for April, home prices, the median sold price nationwide is down by about 1.7%. Also going back to home sold prices for brand new houses, again, right now is about $421,000. The all-time record high was set back in October 2022. At that time, it was $496,800. This means that prices have decreased by about 15% compared to last year's highs, which happened to be all-time record highs. The Census Bureau also provided the number of houses that sold and also the number of houses for sale by stage of construction. Now, here's something that really caught my attention though, because here's the number of houses that sold that were completed houses. 1 year ago, 168,000. Now, as of April, 262,000 houses that sold that were completed on an annualized basis here. That's an increase of 56% year over year. I'll say this over and over again on this channel here, because if you guys are looking to buy a house, looking to buy a brand new house, you're going to get the best deal on a completed house in which the builder is much more motivated to sell the house due to all the costs they have already paid for building the house, versus a dirt lot in which you're probably not going to get a lot of incentives overall nationwide. So again, if you guys are a home buyer looking to buy a brand new house, I highly advise linking up with a real estate agent, obviously to negotiate your sale on your behalf, but also to negotiate with the builder as well, because they're much more motivated to sell those completed houses than dirt lots, for example. So in regards to the number of houses for sale by stage of construction, this is housing inventory. Again, 433,000 is a seasonally adjusted basis. The vast majority of these houses for sale are houses under construction. 263,000 out of 433,000. Something that's really interesting here as well, this makes sense given the fact that completed houses that sold increased by 56%, is that the number of completed houses for sale has been more or less stagnant all year. This is because back in January, there was 67,000 completed houses for sale. And now over the past several months, it has been paid at around 69 to 70,000. This is a night and day difference compared to last year, because April last year, there was 34,000. It increased to 66,000 by year end. This is telling me that home buyers are really gobbling up the houses that are completed, because the number of houses for sale that are completed has been flat for about 4 months now. Okay, I know that was a lot to cover in today's video, so let me provide a summary of today's video here. So the number of houses that sold, again, new single family houses, has been increasing more or less ever since October last year. It has increased now by 11.8% compared to 12 months ago. We saw a big decrease in the Northeast. However, a big increase in the South, increase of 23.4% year over year. Also, a big increase of 17.8% month over month. In regards to the number of houses for sale, that actually is flat compared to 1 month ago and also compared to 1 year ago as well. Also, the month supply has decreased by 10.6% year over year at 7.6 months. Far less than the 10.1 months we saw back in July last year. Also, home sold prices have decreased from 1 year ago, going from $458,000 to $420,000, $420,800 to be exact. Also, for the number of houses that sold by stage of construction, the vast majority of those are houses under construction or completed. And by the way, it completed a giant increase of 56% year over year. In regards to the number of houses for sale by stage of construction, this is night and day difference compared to houses that sold, because the vast majority are houses under construction and a very small percentage is houses completed at 70,000 versus the 433,000 overall. And by the way, at 70,000 completed houses for sale, that only represents about 16% of the total number of houses for sale nationwide. With that said, please comment below with your biggest takeaways from today's video. Also, if you guys got any value out of this video whatsoever, then please hit the like button and also consider subscribing as well. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you on the next one.